Just about everybody knows that the Walt Disney World Resort prices are going up. Just about everybody knows it's less and less likely that an average family can afford to go to the theme parks. Now, however, even Disney fanatics are saying Disney parks have become anti-consumer. Hello folks, welcome back to the channel that is changing hearts and minds just by telling the truth about entertainment. Keeping you ahead of the culture curve, that's what we do here each and every day. And today we're going to an article out of BPR, Business and Politics. Politics, Pro? What are you talking about? You're an entertainment channel. Sure. And this article right here is specifically, distinctly, about entertainment. This one by Tom Tillison. It's from a few days ago. We've been watching this and getting ready to talk about it. Disgruntled former fanatic says Disney is anti-consumer as he documents crazy jump in prices. The question, though, is this real? Is it true? Anybody can make a claim, but is Disney World, and thereby probably Disneyland, are they anti-consumer places to go? Let's read a couple lines, and I've got a video I want to show you real quick. While Walt Disney World is billed as the happiest place on earth, one Disney fanatic is not feeling so gay about a recent visit to the Magic Kingdom in Orlando, Florida. Joke withheld, folks. Joke withheld. Longtime fan Jake Williams complained that Disney is becoming anti-consumer, declaring that he did the math and that it would be cheaper to take a family on an overseas vacation, according to the Daily Mail. Now, this is not the first time we've heard this. We actually ran the numbers not too long ago and discovered that it was probably cheaper for most families to go to Hawaii and spend a week in Hawaii than to go to Disney for a week. We also cannot forget that Bright Suns did a video where they discovered that just two people going to Disney, spending just average amounts of money on a meal and a hotel and not trying to find giant savings, but also not trying to overspend, that they actually spent a ton of money on that one single day in the park. Williams documented his visit and realized a massive, here's the headline, folks, a massive 44% increase in pricing since 2017. And that really, if you're planning to go to a Disney park, is part of what you have to insert into your calculus now. The ticket prices, although they have not risen quite as dramatically, although they have outpaced inflation, it's all of the other prices that absolutely get you. The increase in the prices of sodas and waters, the increases in prices of hotels, the decrease in the offerings that are given to you for free. So now that you have to pay essentially for Lightning Lane access to some of the biggest rides, now you have to pay for your own transportation from the airport. These are the kinds of things that increase the cost you're going to spend on your vacation at Disney. He also took issue with the removal of once complimentary services that adds hundreds of dollars to the trip to the park, just as we said. He and his partner, Emmy, stayed at Disney's Port Orleans Resort, which he said was pretty nice, and I agree. Greatly enjoy that, especially the French Quarter. I got a discounted rate at $249 a night, but that really turned out to be $280 a night with tax, Williams told the British tabloid. After noting that they had a reasonable meal, $22.79 per person plus tax, Williams said they took Disney's complimentary bus transportation to the park. It was there that he pointed out a reformatting of the price tier of their annual passes system since their last visit. They bumped up the prices for both the passes and regular day tickets, the Disney fanatic said. We chose to do the classic Park Magic Kingdom, which also happens to be the most expensive park, and like Days of the Past Disney, it now has variable pricing for each park depending on when you're going, and that's true. And as we've mentioned in the past, Disney, at least in part, does that because not only do they want to dissuade you from going to Magic Kingdom and go to some of the lesser attended parks instead, but also Disney would like for you to not know exactly how much it costs to go on these trips. And so there's variable pricings depending on the date, but also on the park. Now, I want to show you the difference in the Disney outlook of how they're handling their parks and what Jay Rasulo and Nelson Peltz said at their town hall yesterday. You might not know who these gentlemen are, but if you've been watching the channel, you know that Jay Rasulo is the former chief financial officer of the Walt Disney Company, and Nelson Peltz is the leader of the Triumph Partners Group, which is an activist investing firm. Both of them want to get Disney back to the sensible center, but when it comes to Disney parks, they want them to be affordable, increase capacity, and return them to the quality that we once knew. Let's listen in now to their thoughts on this idea that Disney is becoming anti-consumer in the parks, which, by the way, if you've been paying attention, you've noticed that attendance at Disney World has been down. And perhaps that's a canary in the coal mine for other Disney parks, even as there is much bragging about profit margins. If your profit margins come at the cost of folks going back to their families and saying, don't go to Disney, it's too expensive now, then those are very short-term and ill-sighted gains.
Next question. How will you help the parks to stay competitive, but still allow average families to afford to visit?
Jay, you get started on that one.
Well, I think there's a careful balance between new, exciting new things around, beloved franchises, new franchises, but also the general upkeep of the property, and to make it feel like Walt used to say to the cast members, every day ought to feel like opening day here.
Now, remember, as he talks, this is the former chief financial officer of the Walt Disney Company. Jay Rasulo also was at one time over all of the parks, and he's exactly right. Walt wanted it to feel like it was opening day every day. Unfortunately, that has largely gone away in recent times, as the parks do not look like opening day. We can recall that Epcot has had a number of attractions just recently installed, a number of new areas installed, and after just 2 months of being there, sometimes even less, they're already in dysfunction. Took 2 years to build them, took 2 months for them to stop working, with no end in sight to their dysfunctionality. Let's continue watching. And by the way, if you'd like to see this entire video, go to restorethemagic.com.
I want somebody that arrives to feel like this is opening day and it's all bright and shiny. So I think there's always that balance. But, when I was running the parks, we used to put together a plan that had a mix of those things I just described, and it had a price tag. We priced out each one, and we'd go to senior management and ultimately the board and say, this is what we need over the next 5 years. But that process, when they did their investor day, they threw out 60 billion, here's 60 billion. There wasn't any timing, there wasn't any products. No one gets excited by hearing we're going to spend 60 billion.
The criticism here, folks, is that the Walt Disney Company under Bob Iger in the most recent earnings call listed out that they're going to spend $60 billion over the next decade in the Disney parks and experiences. And what that experiences means is that really most of that money seems to be going to either cruise lines or to Chinese theme parks, and not to the Walt Disney World Resort at Disneyland. Remember that the Walt Disney World Resort is the crown jewel in terms of revenue for the Disney Company, with Walt Disney World generating massive percentages of income for the entire company. It's easy to forget that as big and shiny as those box office numbers might be for Marvel movies sometimes, at least they were in the past, as big and shiny as it might be to think about a huge video game or a Disney Plus show, they pale. They absolutely pale in comparison to the revenues generated by the park that sits in Central Florida. Now, what are we talking about on this $60 billion? Well, we're talking about the fact that Disney continues to tell us they're going to build something, and we continue to get new art that shifts every time you see it and changes, because we're always just a day away from getting any kind of news about what it is they're going to build. And that means it's probably not going to be built, at least not the same way that they say. They're blue sky documents. And that, I think, feeds into this anti-consumer sentiment, which is that Disney is always promising things that they may not intend on actually doing. And therefore, they generate enthusiasm with the heavy dosage pixie dusters out there who love their stuff no matter what happens. But for the rest of us, we're ready to see what it is that Disney is going to do, because Epic Universe from Universal Studios is certainly going to show us what they're going to do, because they're going to open a brand new theme park with huge, new, immersive lands. Your turn, Disney. Your turn.
People get excited by hearing we're going to have this new attraction, this new show, and we're going to, do this and that. And I feel like that's what drives the business. That's what drives the excitement. That's what creates the urgency for people to come and visit and have a great time. But what's really happened is that most of what they've announced has to do with new pricing schemes. We used to have fast passes. Now you got to pay for them with this new system, GD Plus, but you have to pay for it. And it feels like guests and
nickel and dime, folks, nickel and dime. It's one of the best ways to drive an anti-consumer sentiment with all of your guests.
Many people I know who go to the park tell me, boy, I really felt like every time I turned around, they were nickel and diming me. And that leaves a very bad taste in people's mouths, because it fights the magic.
I was at a park earlier this year in Orlando, and the guys gave me a balloon to take home. They gave me a Mickey Mouse balloon, and it was a great balloon. But you know how much that balloon cost? $16. I mean, that is starting to get ridiculous. It's a beautiful balloon, by the way, but it was still $16 for a.
And folks, we'll stop there on the balloon, but just know that when Nelson Peltz is talking about that balloon, it's indicative of all of those upcharges that are just absolutely insane. Whether or not you think a $16 balloon is ridiculous, when it's 20 things that you've got to buy or you've got to experience during the day, and all of them have been upcharged like that $16 balloon when it should be $10 or $8, then you get the understanding of how this becomes very anti-consumer. If your meals are upcharged, if the little light thing that they make your child scream and cry about because they want it before the parade, if that is upcharged to that kind of a degree, then it all begins to add up so that your Disney park experience is tremendously higher than it once was. Here's what the article continues to say, going back to the former Disney fanatic. As the article noted, Magic Kingdom tickets are $154 per person, which totaled $328 for the former Disney fanatic and his girlfriend Emmy. As expensive as that sounds, it's at least not on a more expensive day like in late November, where day tickets can get as high as $184 a person, Williams said. Don't forget, folks, that Disney just raised the price for their parks by about $10 to $15, and now, 2025, you will be tickling $200, especially with tax. With tax, you're going over $200 a day to be inside a Disney park on many of their more popular days. More than $200 just to enter the turnstiles. Remember, that doesn't give you Lightning Lane, that doesn't give you Genie Plus, that doesn't give you a meal, that's just the starting point. And that's the problem, is that much like video games of today, Disney parks have now become this get in and then start downloading for extra cost all these DLCs that once upon a time were utterly free. That's what's happened at Disney parks. According to Williams, the exact same trip in 2017 would have cost $567, still expensive. But that's almost a $320 difference between the two trips and a 44% increase in just 7 years. Folks, I'm going to tell you, I think this is actually underplaying the increase that you're going to see if you go to Disney parks. There are ways around this. There are ways to find savings at Disney parks. It's a video for another day, but we'll be talking about that very soon, because I know that some of you out there still want to take your family, take your child to have that experience of walking down Main Street and seeing the castle, of experiencing the things that you saw and you did when you were a child. I understand that. And I'm not here to tell you that you should not do that. So we'll be doing videos soon, because this is getting outrageous. And we want you to have a good time if you decide to go. If you choose not to and you want to go to Universal Studios or Dollywood instead, we totally understand. But we do want to give you the option, and we'll talk about ways to save coming up in the future in the channel. If you're interested in that sort of thing, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, and stick it to the algorithms. It's the notification bell. I would also love to know exactly how much your latest Disney trip cost if you went, and if you're so inclined to let us know. That would be a very interesting thing to discuss down in the comments. As far as Disney ticket prices go, they're only going up. So if you are trying to find a way to save, well, go in an off-peak time and do not wait. I hate to say that, but 2025, those prices are going up, and I would not be surprised if they don't go up again, and perhaps even by the end of the year. We'll be here to cover it all, but Nelson Peltz and Jay Rasulo, they disagree with the way that Disney is handling the parks as it continues to price out the middle class and aim for global elites. Folks, we will continue to cover it as always. It is a joy, and we are tremendously blessed, an attitude of gratitude that you came here and spent your time with us. Folks, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.
Clickbait, fraud, drama queen. Ugh, I wish there was a channel that was 5 to 6 minute news reads without the drama, frauds, and clickbait that could accurately let me know the current news, providing my crucial context utilizing all the different That Park Place contributors and creators.
Well, stupid. There is. It's the That Park Place YouTube channel, which will be going live real soon, so make sure you're subscribed, so you can really stick it to the algorithms.
You're joking.
Nope.